Discipline has got nothing to do with punishment. If you actually look at the word discipline, what is a disciple?
Someone who follows.
Somebody who follows. And why did Jesus' disciples follow him? Because he punished them? Or because he loved them? And he gave them something that they wanted to learn? No, you want our kids to love us, and we have to give them some reason to want to learn from us. That's how we discipline them, not through punishment. Punishments usually undermine the attachment relationship, and that attachment relationship is the only healthy basis for child development. So basically, when we punish, when we use the relationship against the child, we're actually undermining the child's development.
Right.
And literally what happened to a lot of the people in my book on addiction are people who received all kinds of punishment all their lives. That punishment, of course, deprived them of their sense of being loved and of their sense of value. And it's that despair that drove them into addiction. So actually, with many of our parenting behaviors that are taught by so-called experts, we're actually creating addictions.
Do you get a lot of pushback from people when you talk about this?
What we actually get is a lot of gratitude, because once parents understand their children. So when I say acting out, what does that conjure up in your mind?
It conjures, as a child, being naughty.
There's that word again.
As an adult, actually.
So acting out, but it usually means the kid being oppositional, disruptive, rude, and aggressive, and so on, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is England. This is the country that's the source of the English language. Let's learn how to speak English. Acting out doesn't mean bad behavior. Acting out means portraying in behavior something you haven't got the words to say in language. So in a game of charades where you're not permitted to speak, what do you have to do?
Act out.
You have to act out. If I landed in England and didn't speak the local language, and if I had to portray hunger, what would I have to do? I'd have to act it out. Children act out. But their acting out is a message of an internal dynamic. Our job as parents and as educators and as physicians and psychologists and so on is to understand that the acting out represents the manifestation of emotional dynamics that the child hasn't got a language to deliver in words. So that girl who's pulling their friend's hair is acting out. That's exactly what they're doing. And it's our job to decipher the language. It's not very difficult to decipher the language once you understand the child's needs. But now we're no longer imposing a judgment on the child, now we're understanding the child. Again, we're not being permissive. Being permissive is not helpful, but we're also not being punitive. And we're not using the relationship against the child. Discipline is not the same as punishment. The observations of people who study hunter-gatherer bands, and for the most part, hunter-gatherer bands, first of all, they always keep the children with them. So the children grow up around multiple adults. So they're very safe because it's not just mom and dad or mom or dad. It's actually uncles and aunts and cousins and neighbors. Everybody parents them. Imagine the security of that. I read a book by a British sociologist who spent time amongst the pygmies. And he's saying that amongst the pygmies, who are one of the examples of a large group of people who until recently still lived like they might have lived 3,000 years ago, amongst the pygmies, all the tribe is the child's parent. Well, imagine the security of that, because he says we're all children of the forest, and so that we're all children of the same mother is how they see it. That's the number one. Number two, they never put their kids down, so they carry their kids everywhere. It's like ape mothers, you know. That's the natural state of human beings, is to be carried around by their parents. So native peoples in North America, they have the papoose, the little bag in which they carry the baby. The baby's always with the parents. So four distinguishing features of hunter-gatherer parenting are: the whole tribe is the parent, not just one parent. Two, the children are always with the adults, tremendous sense of security. Three, they don't let their kids cry. In other words, if a child is crying, they're immediately picked up, if they're put down at all. And number four, they tend not to hit their kids. So this is how they discipline their children. This is how the children learn to follow the adults is through love and through connection and belonging. This is the true meaning of discipline.